Once upon a time, a lone electric skateboard company called Backfire refused to adopt the versatile belt drive system. Backfire claimed that their hub motor street boards were just as powerful, but quieter, and that their hub motor all-terrain boards were just as comfortable, but required less maintenance. Customers, however, wanted belt drive, and Backfire responded. Last year, in the early months of the growing pandemic, Backfire changed gears, or rather, changed 2 gears, and released their first dual belt drive electric skateboard, the Zealot. The Zealot immediately became one of the most prominent boards in its category, partly because of its high battery capacity, partly because of Backfire's after-sale reputation, but also because Backfire was able to deliver, while others could not. And now, Backfire is releasing their first belt drive all-terrain board, the Hammer. How does the Hammer differ from its many direct competitors? Does the Hammer have more to offer than just gimmicks? And will the Hammer dominate the belt drive all-terrain category? Let's begin this review with the electronics, because this is where the Backfire Hammer separates itself from its direct competitors. The Hammer is exceptionally powerful for a $1,200 board. In terms of acceleration, it is noticeably more powerful than all of the other 2-wheel drive boards I've tried so far that use speed controllers from Hobbywing. And compared to other boards from Backfire, the Hammer is way more powerful. Even in sport mode, the Hammer outperforms other Backfire boards in turbo mode. The motors are 6370, 155 kV, 1600 watts each. On paper, they're about equally powerful as the very common 6368 motors that many of the competitors use, but with more torque. But what really makes the Hammer more powerful is that its ESC can handle 42 amps of current, as opposed to most of the competitors' 30 amps. The brakes are also very strong, but like the acceleration, it feels very controllable and intuitive. It doesn't feel jerky at all. According to Backfire, this board can reach up to 48 kilometers per hour. But just because it can, doesn't mean you should with this board. I'll explain more when I talk about the skate parts. The battery is 518 watt-hours made up of Changhong SunPower 21700 cells in a 12S 3P arrangement in a flexible enclosure. According to Backfire's range test, they got 33 kilometers from an 81 kilogram rider, traveling at about 30 to 35 kilometers per hour. Backfire's claims for range for previous boards have been realistic, and this one seems reasonable to me as well. As always, just be aware that there are many variables that can affect range. Your range may be higher or lower, depending on your weight and a variety of ride conditions. The 4-amp charger should charge this board in about 3.5 to 4 hours. The remote is the same remote that Backfire has been using for some time now. The wheel control is precise and intuitive to use. There's a telemetry display that tells you your speed, distance traveled, etc. Pretty standard stuff nowadays. My main complaints are the same complaints as before. You can't feel the buttons since they're all flush with the remote's body. And the turbo button only turns on turbo, but doesn't turn off turbo. You have to press a different button to turn off turbo, which seems unintuitive. Let's move on to the skate parts after this very brief ad. The Hammer's composite deck, I'm told, is 30% stiffer than the Ranger X3 deck. I've never personally tried the Ranger X3, so I can't compare, but the Hammer's deck feels super flexible to me. There are pros and cons to this. On the one hand, a deck this flexy absorbs a lot of shock and vibration from bumpy surfaces. On the other hand, it bounces so much that I didn't feel confident riding fast on this board. I also didn't like the fluttery rebound when carving, if that makes any sense. It comes down to personal preference though. Your weight and riding style will also affect how this deck behaves. The grip tape, because of its design, comes in small pieces. They come off kind of easily, especially the thin ones at the edges. The trucks, as far as I can tell, have the same geometry as the Ranger's trucks and most other double kingpin trucks. But instead of using the standard 8mm axles, these trucks use 10mm, which is common in some high-performance trucks. As for how these trucks perform, if you like most other double kingpin trucks, you'll probably like these. If you don't like them, you probably won't like these. Please copy X-Way. The stock wheels use 160mm pneumatic tires. Since this board uses belt drive, you do have the option to use third-party wheels by changing the pulleys and belts. Just keep in mind that you'll need to use bearings, spacers, and washers made for 10mm axles, not the standard 8mm. Before moving on to the accessories, do me a favor and hit the like button if this video has been helpful so far. Backfire hammer comes in 3 different options: basic, standard, and premium. The performance of the board is the same in all 3 options. The differences are only in price and the accessories. All 3 options include a tow hook and pull handle. The motor guard and pulley covers are also included. The standard option comes with Backfire's headlights and fenders. And the premium option includes everything from standard, plus a tow bar, brake lights, and a spoiler. Which option should you get? Get either basic or standard. Personally, I would pass on premium, because are you really gonna bring a tow bar with you on a ride? And as for the spoiler, although it's an amusing accessory, honestly, it gets in the way. A lot. Like if I'm getting on the board with a push, or if I want to turn the board upside down, the spoiler just gets in the way. Let me quickly review the other accessories also. The taillights get brighter when you brake through motion detection. They're attached to the spoiler, so unfortunately, if you don't use the spoiler, there isn't another built-in way to attach these lights. The tow hook is great for pulling other boards or other stuff. I'm sure you can get creative with it. The tow hook gets in the way if you need to stand up your board, but it's fairly easy to remove and screw into the inside of the motor guard when not in use. The motor guard protects the motors from impacts from behind, but unlike most other motor guards, it can more easily trap small rocks between the guard and the motors. As you can see, my motors got pretty scratched up because of that. The handle is wide and comfortable to hold. I just don't like how it blocks the lights a little bit, making the field of view slightly more narrow. Not a big difference, but still, like did they just not feel like that was an issue? The headlights are alright. They're 300 lumens each and have just one mode. The fenders do a good job of blocking splashes. Installation took quite a while because it's so easy to do it wrong and have to redo, but eventually I got it. The pulley covers should highly reduce the chance of a pebble getting into your belt drive. According to my scale, the hammer weighs 14.5 kilograms with the standard accessories. Those are the fenders and headlights. It's not a board you'll carry in your arm very often. When not riding this board, you'll mostly be pulling it using the included handle. Like I said earlier, the spoiler often gets in the way. For example, if you'll be putting multiple boards in the trunk of a car, you can't stack another board on top if you have the spoiler on. But otherwise, this board is about as portable as any other board in the same category. Obviously, the thing that makes this board stand out in terms of looks is the f***ing spoiler. I thought it was hilarious, and I like that Backfire has a sense of humor. I decided not to keep it on, but when I did have it on, it got a lot of attention from others, and brought joy to many strangers while waiting for the green light. The wheels look very cool. I like the treads on the tires and the aluminum hubs. The fenders are very round. I feel like they don't really match Backfire's aesthetics. They make me think of the Volkswagen Beetle. I wouldn't say they're ugly, I just think they don't match the board. I would, however, say the motor guard is ugly. It's just, what the hell is this? The taillights are okay. The headlights have upside down logos because Chabuduo. I think the Zealot and Ranger X2 look better, but that's just my subjective opinion. For people who want an electric skateboard but don't have specific requirements in mind, I generally steer them towards Backfire, because I know they'll be taken care of. Backfire's after-sale customer service has had a great reputation for many years. I wish I could say the same for many other brands. The hammer comes with a 12-month warranty. If anything is defective, get in touch with Backfire and they'll send you replacement parts from one of their warehouses worldwide. Backfire has warehouses in the US, Canada, Germany, Australia, and of course China. If you need to return your board for a refund, you have that option, as long as the board is still in its brand new condition. The details about that are on Backfire's website. At this time, Backfire still sells the Ranger X2 and X3. Those are also all-terrain boards, but they use hub motors. They're capable and in many ways they overlap with the hammer. But the hammer is far more powerful. The hammer should be great for people who want excellent acceleration, people who are heavier, and people who frequently ride on hills. It's also for people who want an affordable, belt-drive, all-terrain board from a company that has a great customer service reputation. Of course, not every board will be suitable for everyone. If you plan on frequently riding at higher speeds, let's say above 35 kilometers per hour, my opinion is that the deck and trucks on this board aren't appropriate for that kind of speed. The trucks you should be able to tweak with aftermarket bushings, but the deck I feel bounces too much for higher speeds. Overall, I think the electronics on this board are great. If you want more range, there are certainly other boards out there with more range, and around the same price of $1,200, but not with the same amount of power, and not with Backfire's level of customer service. As for acceleration, there are of course more powerful boards, but the ones I'm aware of cost at least a few $100s more. At about $1,200 for the basic option, and about $1,350 if you need the fenders and headlights, I think the Hammer is a good deal. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. By the way, Insta360 is having an end of summer sale right now. Use my referral links to get extra accessories for free.